Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast, where we break down everything short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, and building a profitable hospitality business. Whether you're a host, investor, or property manager, we share real strategies, real insights, and real experiences to help you scale smarter and grow faster. Let's dive in.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt Codd and I'm here with Austin Spitzenberger as always. And today we have Sam Hirst in the house. What is up, Sam?
Woot woot. Stoked to be on. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure, man. We're super excited to have you here. We made some small talk before we hit live. He's got a sweet mustache, so go check him out on LinkedIn and Facebook. He has informed us that one side of his mustache sags a little bit lower than the other side, so don't look too close at it. Just say, it's a sweet mustache. He's got muscles too. So, Sam, awesome, man. Super excited to have you on the show.
The ladies love a good mustache too. The ladies love a good mustache. So,
it's funny. Men tell me that all the time, but it's usually women tell me the exact opposite. But men think that women like it, which is that's important, I guess. So,
yeah,
I guess my wife likes it, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't divorce you, so you're good.
Yeah,
good,
right?
Yeah. We're all on that edge. Don't worry about it. You're not the only one.
Yeah, well, awesome, man. Sam, we're super excited to have you on here today. For anybody and our listeners that may not know you, give us a quick rundown of kind of how you got into this space and what it is you do.
Yeah, totally. So for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been in the short-term rental space. I started with a vacation rental company called Loma Homes. They did extreme themed vacation rentals across the U.S., primarily in Florida. So their most major market was Orlando. So they did like a wizarding, like Harry Potter house and a Star Wars house, and they did these really, really extreme themed ones. And they were one of the first people to do it back in 2019. Like the extreme themed ones, obviously themed houses were all over at that time, but the extreme themed ones where it was extremely immersive and really expensive to do, they kind of started that, and they brought me on as an admin person. And then when I was there, their marketing person left, and they had me, just start doing some of the stuff the marketing person was doing. And so I transitioned into the marketing role, and turned out to be a really easy job because I had a really cool product, which was extremely viral homes in Florida near Disney World. And so they got picked up by Forbes and Travel and Leisure. They got picked up by like all the major magazines, and they went mega viral. So my job was super easy, and I thought I was doing amazing. And then obviously I was just kind of part of a cool team. And then the founder of that company went on to make a tech company called Intellihost, which helps short-term rental owners optimize their Airbnbs and rank higher on the OTAs so they can make more revenue. And so he brought me from Loma Homes. He took me with him, and I became the head of marketing and sales there for them. We grew that to 7 figures, and then created another offer, which was revenue management for short-term rentals. So we created, it's called Revenue IQ, which kind of fused listing optimization with pricing management and AI kind of all together into one service, which did really, really well. We grew that from Intellihost, we grew from 0 to over 40,000 listings. Revenue IQ, we grew from 0 to over 600 users, and I would say 1,400 properties under, revenue management. So I was just kind of the marketing guy for the company along the way. Created a system to fill our salespeople's calendars. So we had at one point 7 full-time salespeople that were just taking calls that I had generated with our marketing. And so full-time, 8 hours a day, 7 people just taking calls that we had generated for them. So basically I took that system, and now I help vacation rental managers across the US, independent ones. I help them grow using meta ads.
So what is the name of your company now? And is it just kind of you running stuff, or give us a background of like what you're doing like right now?
Yeah. So right now, my company's called DoorScale. So I've taken what I learned at my previous companies, realized that I created a unique system for attracting owners and making them book calls with property managers using meta ads. And so I took this system that was performing really well for those other companies, and then I started offering it to property managers, revenue managers, and lo and behold, it worked beautifully, did really well. And so I was like, well, I could help a lot more people if I did this full time. So that's when I left Intellihost from Revenue IQ about 5 months ago now. About 5 months ago is when I left full time to do DoorScale. I was kind of doing it on the side a little bit, helping revenue managers on the side and property managers, but went full time and made this my business. So yeah, now I travel around and I help grow property management companies.
So, okay, you help grow property management companies through meta ads. So do you have like, let's run through like, what is your ideal management client look like? Like how many
Yep.
listings, what are they looking to do? What are they struggling with? Show me a scenario, tell me a scenario of like, what does that look like and how can you kind of come in and help them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with my clients specifically, most of them are mid-range. Most of them are between like 25 and like 250 properties. And so what they're looking for is they're looking for a faster way to grow. And the reason is because in the property management space, the lifetime value of a new owner is very high because owners typically don't want to switch property management companies. And so they stay for a long time. And if you're making 20%, 25%, that can be that you can make a lot of money over 2 years taking 20%. Obviously, you're doing a whole lot as a property manager too, but the biggest thing, one of the hardest things besides operations, is just knowing how to get more owners and growing that. Because right now there's a lot of ways you can do that, but they're all really tough. For example, you can do mailers. The upsides with mailers is if you're in a new market and you have great mailers, they can work. You can get a lot of owners, but it's inconsistent. So like you'll have a week where you have 2 people call you, and then the next 3 you'll have 0, and then the next month you'll have like 10, and then the next month after that you'll have 2. And so there's a lot of inconsistency with that type. And then you could do cold reach outs, you could do referral programs, you could do realtor programs. But the issues with those as well is, with an exception of cold reach outs, is they're inconsistent too. When you're relying on referrals, you can't exactly force your way or brute force your way into having more owners. You really have to rely on other people still. And so that's why kind of what I do now is really helpful for vacation rental property managers, because I've hacked the ads game to help smaller regional managers grow. And so what that looks like is typically if they have right now, I've kind of stopped bringing on people with less than 50 properties. And the reason is because my system generates a lot of calls with owners. So a lot of owners will book calls on their calendar. And if the property manager doesn't know how to close, if they don't know how to sell, then all that it does is it just takes all their time and has a bunch of owners jump on their calendar, and they're just running around talking with owners, not closing anybody, which doesn't help anybody. And so typically above 50 properties, because that means they know how to close usually, or they have a salesperson or a part-time sales role that can fill that as well. And then the other thing I look for is their area large enough that we can advertise in? Like for example, I talk to people all the time. They have like a small town in, let's say North Carolina. They have like 2 small towns in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and there's like 10 or there's like 500 to 1,000 listings. There's just not enough there to advertise to. So those are the primary things, which is what is the size of your market, and then can you close the calls that come your way? And so those are the people that I help typically, and that's also why they come to me, is because it's a lot more consistent.
What if you had like, let's say you were set up and I have 75 listings, right? This is just a one-off scenario, right? But let's just say can you work with somebody that's in 3 different vacation markets versus running ads that way versus hyper focusing on like, hey, all in one market? Or if like I was diversified in multiple markets, that's something you could accommodate, right?
Totally. So I'll give you an example here. I have a client in the Gulf Coast, specifically Orange Beach, Alabama, Perdido Key, and Panama City Beach. And when you're talking about Orange Orange Beach, that's in Alabama. Things are very much different from Panama City Beach, which is, let's say just an hour down the road, or actually a few hours down the road. But they're very much different, even though they're both on the Gulf Coast. And when you say Orange Beach or Perdido Key, and somebody has a beach home in Panama City Beach, and in your ads you're like, hey, I help vacation rental owners here in the Gulf Coast, or here in Perdido Key, or here in Orange Beach. If you own in Panama City Beach, you're going to ignore it. Right. And so the key is, if you're in multiple markets, you'll have to make a lot more ads than somebody who's just in one, which is fine because you also have a greater amount of people you can advertise to. But what you'd have to do is you'd make ads for, let's say Panama City Beach, and then ads for Orange Beach, and then ads for Perdido Key, because that makes it a lot more compelling if you own a vacation rental versus if you just said, hey, I help people with vacation rental management. That is a lot less compelling than stating the area. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So the last guy we had on this podcast was Jack with Haven Vacation Rentals, I think is out of the Smokies. So isn't it funny that you came here? We had him because of his ad. I reached out to him. I was like, hey, this would be good. And I met him that way. Because his ad was so good, I was like, dude, this is like really good. He was like, which
But
one?
he got it from Sam. He got it from Sam though, right? Didn't he said Sam came out to Utah.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, so I'm saying like it's full circle of like your ad literally got us him, which he said, hey, you should have him to talk about meta ads, and then full circle. It's just wild to me. I don't know. Interesting thing there. But
that's funny. Jack's brilliant. Jack is brilliant. Yeah, he's young. He's younger than I am, and he's CEO of Haven Vacation Rentals. And they just won like top of Comparent Awards by Venturi, and he's always looking for ways to improve, and like doing AI and all these really cool guest processes. So he's a good guy to know. Like, definitely one of my favorite clients by far.
Yeah, and I think the hard part about all this is like, man, like how do you pick one avenue? Like you were like kind of picking all these things you could do. And there's just so many ways that you can grow your business. And what I've always thought is like pick two or three and be really good at those two or three, because you go down this rabbit hole and you're like, oh, I can do all these realtor referrals and I can do this and I can do that. And you kind of explained why you like meta ads. I just feel like, I don't know, there's just always so many different ways you can do it. And we've never actually explored growth that way. And I think it's really just because it's like we just didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know if anyone did that service, how they did it. So I guess like for his situation, kind of walk me through like what does that relationship look like? Because he didn't even know what video I was talking about. He's like, I just know there's a lot of those out there that we filmed for like 3 days. So talk about that a little bit, like kind of like what that looks like with you.
Totally. And if I might, I'm actually going to address something else you said there, which is, yes, there's so many things you could do. And the thing about marketing is everything works. The question is, how much does it work, right? Like mailers work, realtor programs work, cold outbound works. The question is, how fast can you get it to work? How much is it going to cost you? Everything like that. And so what I recommend to people is I'd say pick two things. One is something you can control. So that way you can do more of it and you'll get more back. So something you can control and is reliable. And the second one is something that compounds over time. So up until a certain point. So once you reached, over $1 million in revenue, then you have some more cash flow to start playing around with other things. But up until that point, I say find one you can control and one that compounds over time. And so what that could look like is, say you choose cold outbound. Go cold outbound. You can control that. You could do more over a certain period. You could hire more reps. And then the second one, realtor programs, right? Because when you grow those relationships, you're going to get more and more referrals. And over time, you're not going to have to pay for those nearly as much. And it's going to be a compounding branding effect. So that's my recommendation to people is if you're getting started, pick one that compounds over time and one that you can control and master both as well as you can.
So what would be another one? What would be another avenue that you'd say? You said one controlled, right? Sorry to interrupt you. You said one controlled and one uncontrolled, right? So what is I get what the controlled looks like. It's something if you stop doing, nothing happens, right? Is that what you're saying? So what does the uncontrolled look like?
The uncontrolled would be something where you rely on other people. So like, for example, it would be like, and it's a level of control. It's not uncontrolled versus controlled, it's level. So like instead of paying $100 and knowing you're going to get one booked call, it's like, I'm going to spend I don't know how much Venturi charges anymore. I'm going to spend $3,000 with Venturi. They're going to do mailers for my area, and hopefully it works. And you can't directly control it. You don't know exactly how many leads are going to come from it, but you got to do something, right? You got to do something. Now, that's why I recommend it is the branding side, which is like realtor programs or content. Like if you grow a social media profile, because then it's something that will grow over time and it'll make your life easier over time and will be easier to do. But it's not something you could just brute force your way into nearly as much as making better ads and spending more money, which is much more linear.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. And then to answer your other question, yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I
keep on humming.
That was I answered the wrong question, because the question you asked me was, what was the relationship with, or no, you're asking about the 3 days of filming.
Yeah. Just what's that look like? He was just telling, he didn't go too much in the details. He just said something about that. And I was like, I just saw one of the ads, and he was like, I don't know which one you saw because we did so much filming content and put out, 15 different ads or whatever.
Austin froze.
He's freezing.
Yeah. Well, because you did so many, so we got that part.
Okay. I'll go.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that I find, or one of the biggest pain points with property managers, is they're busy. So if you're a property manager, you're stuck in the weeds, you're in operations, and when a marketing guy like me comes along and says, "Hey, I need you to film these scripts. Hey, can you film this? Hey, can you film this?" They often don't, and it's because they're busy, and often they hate being in front of the camera. And so what I do is I'll fly out for 48 hours. I'll be there for 48 hours, and I will just film and shoot as many ads as possible within those 48 hours to have the next 3 to 6 months just nailed. So that way I don't have to keep going back and forth with the property managers and asking them, pleading with them to shoot more content. I just go out, I take care of it for them. We have the next 6 months done, and then we have we're able to find the best ads that perform the best, the quickest. So.
Yeah. So when Jack kind of explained it, he was like, "Oh yeah, Sam flew out and we record all these videos and this and that." And the first thing I thought in my head was, "Damn, that's probably really expensive." But I love ads, and I'll ask you a same type of question that I asked Jack, because I was trying to figure it out, because I do run meta ads too, and I'm still trying to hone that. But my question is that if I'm going to run, let's just say my target market's Houston, greater Houston, things like that. If I were to run ads, he said he's not using any filters at all. He's just doing it to that location. He'd be filtering. He said he's not filtering by income or anything like that. Would you do that?
So it depends on the qualifying process that you have. If you have stringent qualifying processes after they fill out their lead form information, then you don't have to as much. Versus if you don't have great lead qualifying systems after the click, you would need to do it before the click. So the ads, you would need to be very specific in the ads so you don't pay for clicks that you waste. So for example, for Haven specifically, what we do is we do a call out and we say, hey, if you have a short-term rental here in the Smoky Mountains. And so anybody that doesn't have a short-term rental in the Smoky Mountains, ideally, they're not going to be clicking through and wasting your clicks and wasting your ad spend. And so if you're doing Houston, and I've actually, this is different for every area. So this might not be the same for you. We have to tweak things. But if Houston, you find that a lot of your owners own a short-term rental in Houston, but they don't live in Houston, then you might want to target nationally and have your creative do the targeting. Or if you find that most people also live in Houston and they have the short-term rentals in Houston, you might just want to target Houston, and that actually might perform better. But the key is just to test and see what works.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part. So it's like, I think in metro markets, more like Houston, things like that, most of the homeowners won't be in Houston, right? And I think that like if I were to target something like Galveston, right? If I targeted Metro Houston or Dallas or, Metro drivability, then more than likely I'm probably going to get 75 to 80% of those owners if I'm targeting the big metro areas. And at least that's what I find from skip tracing people, getting their personal address and things like that. So that's pretty interesting. So how much would you say if somebody let's just say somebody decided to do ads themselves, how much do you think they should start with their ad spend?
Yeah, so it depends on the size of their market. So this is the most common marketing answer, which is like annoys the crap out of everybody and me as well. But it's, it depends. So, in an example where you have, let's say 50 to 70 rentals and you're in a large metro, I'd say that's the most common. You cover a metro area and you have, 50 to 75. Then I would say probably start with around $2,000 to $3,000 a month in meta ad spend minimum. Now, that also assumes that you're going to achieve some results with that spend. So the thing with spend is it's not so much the spend, it's how many events are you sending back to Meta, right? Because if you're sending one event, if let's say it's book a call, so someone goes through, they click on your ad, they book a call, and you're spending enough to get one per week, Facebook isn't going to have enough data to send you more because it's only happening once a week. So it's going to be very rare and it's just going to be terrible. Versus you just got to find where you can start to have an event ideally every day or multiple times a day. That's the sweet spot. That's when there's enough data where Facebook starts to be able to cross-reference all the data points and find people just like that. And that's where things really start humming and you can actually get to a point where it's reliable. But before then, if you're spending too little, you just might never get to a point where it's reliable because you're not giving it enough data over a short enough period of time.
So you think it's better to send somebody to like a landing page or send somebody to like a form, or depending on whether you're having a qualifier, outside of the click, or like what have you seen in your experience the best place to send, a qualified prospect to, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I might ask, what are you using right now? Because you said you're doing Facebook ads.
Yeah, so generally I send them to a landing page.
Okay.
So
and that has
generally
a lead form on it?
Yeah, so it has several call to actions, and basically just like, what we do, different calls to action. The first thing that pops up, there's call to action right there. And then just several different calls to action. We kind of use it more right now. We use it more to test the page, to, look at clarity and see where they're landing on the page. And just kind of collect data. But we are going to change the ads because I was looking at other ads through, and they're hard to find if you're looking at whatever it's called, Facebook, where you look
Ad library.
Ad library, right? I keep forgetting the name of that. I want to say Meta or something every time, but yeah, so you look through the ad library and you're looking for like vacation property management, or you're looking at or even if I look at like my competitors, right? If I look at my competitors in Galveston, like Beachbox and like 5 other different places, none of them run ads. So it's like, okay, well, there's nothing to look at, right? And then if I look at Vacasa nationally, it's like, it doesn't really show up. They're not really running many ads anymore, things like that. So it's yeah, I try to look at those, but I try to change it, make it look different because I don't want, like right now we're running ads with like basically like popular memes, right? So things like that, to try to gets a lot of likes, but I like to just test it and see how it works. So
yeah. Well, I'll give you the TLDR about what I've learned here, which is there's a lot of BBs. There's a lot of little metal BBs that you can accrue to make things better. So a lot of little things over time that you add up that become huge and very important. Like for example, there's 100 things you can learn about landing pages to make landing pages better and have a master landing page. Landing pages themselves are highly technical. You can hire somebody and pay them a lot of money for a great landing page, and it would perform way better than a typical one, right? There's the 80-20 principle, but that's just a landing page, right? Because then it's like lead form. What like lead capture? How do you get someone to be most willing to give you their info? And then after that, it's like, how do you get them to show up to a call? How do you get them to contact you? How do you get them to answer the phone? And so there's a lot of thousands of little BBs. And the other thing too is what type of ad do you run, right? Do you run traffic campaigns? Do you run conversion campaigns? And so there's a lot of little BBs that I've learned over time and been able to refine. But the most important thing, there's one silver bullet, which is the offer. And if you get the offer right, then you can get a lot of BBs wrong, right? You can have a lot of things along the way that aren't streamlined, that aren't beautiful. But if your offer, the silver bullet, is wonderful, then the rest does not matter nearly as much. And so that's what Haven's finding right now. We went in, and Jack is brilliant. We went in, and I was like, look, if you change your offer like this, you update it like this. And he brought ideas to the table too. They changed their offer. They made it extremely compelling. and they're flying now. Like they're absolutely flying. And granted, I've also implemented all the other thousands of little BBs, which is like, doing like a quiz funnel and, lead nurture and doing all these little things to get people to show up to the call. There's a lot of that as well. But really, if you nail your offer is interesting, it's new, and it nails all the parts of the value equation correctly, then you can make a lot of mistakes along the way and still make it work.
Yeah, he does have an insane offer. So it is. So if you guys want to go to see his offer, you can go back and listen to episode 91, or I could tell you his offer. But his offers, because when he was telling us about his offer, the first thing I said, okay, well, how many Alex Hormozi books have you read? Because I feel like you're just, and he's like, I got them all right here. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yep.
It's really intriguing to see someone be able to figure out how to use Meta to get more clients. Cause like you said, like you could do things that are constant or whatever, but I mean, everybody hates cold calling. Like Austin's probably the only person I know that fucking loves cold calling people. I don't know why. It's just Austin's thing. No. Yeah, Austin's good at making contacts with people. He's good at making connections. That's just what he does, And it's like, yeah. And Brooke is good at that too. When we talked to Brooke, so it's like, it's just funny because I think a lot of people don't have that kind of goal to just deal with, rejection all day long, or, people are like, fuck you, why are you calling me, that kind of stuff. So yep. I like that you're bringing a different thing into the game to help people get prospects. Right. So what could like people under that unit count that you service do, to try to increase, their contracts?
Yeah, so that's that's something I'm trying to learn as well, because the more people that I'm able to get to the right size, the more potential clients I could have as well. So that's something I'm also looking into. One of the best ways to do it is cover all your bases. So number one, have a website, have something where people can find you. So number one, I would say make a memorable name that is either location based or easy to memorize. So number one, your business name needs to be something people can easily memorize or understand or remember. Number two, you need to be able to be found. So like have a website, have a LinkedIn, have something. You have to be digitally, have to be able to be found. That's the bare minimum. And so you can start, I've talked to a lot of people who have started already generating leads from that. In fact, I was talking to a guy yesterday. He's got 17 now. He wanted to sign up, but I told him it probably wouldn't be right at this time, and to keep growing. But he's at 17 and he's grown from 0 to 17 basically just by people finding him on Google. And so I would say SEO is not dead. So as long as you have a website, your website says that you serve people in your region, like if it's, Hilton Head in what is it, South Carolina or North Carolina? I can't remember. South Carolina. If it's Hilton Head, just say, I'm a Hilton Head vacation rental manager. I help people manage their homes, and you just have that real estate there. That's like number one. That's the base covered. And then the second thing would be, reach out to realtors. Like realtors are amazing. Like if you can get a good realtor program, like go in person to a realtor's office, take donuts or cookies or whatever, have a note, develop some relationships and start getting referrals. And then once you get, if you just do that, talk to realtors and get into the space and network, you could probably get up to 30 to 50 in under a year if you really hit the pavement and if you really go hard.
Yeah, I think we're at that point where it's like we've done all of that, and then at like 60-ish listings, now we're like, okay, that's kind of dried up. Like that's always going to be there, but there's a point where your rate of growth kind of exceeds being able to do that, and now you're losing clients. And we're not losing clients, but service related, right? It's just like clients are falling off, they're selling the house, whatever, and it's like, yeah, that should always kind of be a honey hole, but in order to get to the next level, you've got to do something. So we haven't done this yet, but I'm very interested in it. But we've really gone the go high level route, building out a CRM, doing that way, doing a whole sales funnel, whole sales process. But we haven't built it off the back of like what you do. It's more of just like we're doing what Matt was kind of talking about earlier, is skip tracing, finding properties that meet our specs, having a VA do that, plugging it in, and then reaching out to that owner directly, which To me, I think it's been successful. We haven't been doing it for very long, but we've signed clients doing it, and it hasn't cost us very much money. So I
Good.
don't know. That's kind of where we're at.
That's awesome. You said you're at 60 properties, 60-ish?
Yeah, 60-ish mid range. Yeah,
Okay, nice. And do you guys have a salesperson, or do they all come to you and you kind of close them?
I'm the salesperson.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so we have I have just a VA that kind of he works with me. He helps us. He's helping us build out the go high level and stuff like that. And I think yeah, we I don't know. We haven't explored this, and it's just something we haven't explored because we just hadn't really got to it yet. So we're mostly doing all the other stuff. We're mostly doing the go high level. One thing we're going to put in is like just low hanging fruit. Like I have never done this. Where we're going to put in a offer just for our clients, like current clients, and just ask for referrals and say, hey, if you bring us a client that fits our, like everyone can do this, right? Like go to your client email, put together your little offer, and just say, hey, if you refer me anybody, I'll give you $3,000 or something. Whatever is like, because to me, like I would pay $3,000 all day long if that property is going to generate $15,000 to $20,000 in commission or whatever the case may be. So putting that into play, but yeah, just reaching out to all of your clients saying we'll give you this much for a referral. This is what I'm looking for. Da 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 da. Realtor connections, a lot of the low cost things that you were mentioning earlier. I guess controllable things. But we don't have anything on autopilot. So I was thinking, like, for you guys, what does that look like when you're running meta ads? If we were to, say work with Sam. So like, we do all these videos, we do the content day. So what does it look like for Jack on the day to day now? Is it just like freaking calls are coming in, or is there any like ongoing maintenance for your clients? Like, what's that look like?
Yeah, so my goal is to do everything all the way up until the person talks with the client, at which point sales takes over. So my process is, we take care of all the ads, we take care of the whole funnel system, and we get them to book a call on Jack's calendar. He has a full-time salesperson, which is awesome. So his salesperson will actually take the call and will, work his magic and close, and he's doing a great job. And so because his calendar is very open and he's got a full-time salesperson, the system works beautifully because when there's a lot of availability, when you go to a calendar with a lot of availability, it's much more likely you'll be able to find a time to book. And so for property managers that have low availability, say if you only have like 3 or 4 hours a day, you're able to take calls, or say even less, the likelihood that somebody comes through that whole process, ads, landing page, lands and looks at your page to book a call with you, and they see, oh, it's during the last half of my workday, I can't even book a time then, that greatly increases the cost per call. And so really, if the people this works best for is people who have an area with enough vacation rentals, ideally 10,000 or more in the area of vacation rentals that they can target. Really, 5,000 is the bare minimum, but above 10,000 that you can target. Number 2 is, do you have a calendar that has availability? Because if they get to that calendar and there's no availability, well, that's not going to work very well. And then number 3 is, are you able to close them when they jump on the call? And Haven is someone who hits every single one of the boxes. They have a large area they can serve. Their salesperson is amazing, and they've got a lot of availability. And so what that would look like is, I come in, I do the 48 hours of shoot hundreds of pieces of content, essentially about 6 months worth typically. My team edits it. My team composes everything, creates the ads, the funnels, everything. We turn it on, and then in a day or 2 days, calls start popping up on your calendar, and you start ideally closing people. So that's what that looks like.
Yeah, that's a good one. We have it set up to like book a call with me, but like my calendar availability is not very good. I was just like, hey, put it from 10 to 12. I blocked off that 10 to 12 Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I probably need to open up Saturday. I'm willing to take calls on Saturday, so that's fine. And I probably need to go revisit that. And so that's a good nugget. One thing that comes to my mind is like, so when you're running these, what I've always never really understood, I think Matt actually asked it on the last thing, but I don't know. I'd rather hear your take on it. Is what about the fact that you're targeting an area where the homeowners don't actually live, right? Like if you're targeting my market, but my clients are in Colorado or New York or not Central Texas, right? Is that something? How do you navigate that?
Yeah. So let's use Haven, for example. And this is pretty public knowledge. And this is for a lot of areas in the US, which is like over 80%, 90% of the people who own vacation rentals in the Smokies, they don't live there. It's a beautiful big cabin there in the Smokies, but they don't live there. Almost nobody lives there. Most people live outside. And so what we do is we use the creative. We target national. And then in the ads themselves, we say, if you own a vacation rental here in the Smoky Mountains, then I've got a crazy offer that you're going to want to hear. And then anybody who doesn't own a vacation rental in the Smoky Mountains, if they're still listening, they're either clinically insane or they're just kind of interested and they want to learn more, right? And then near the end, near the call to action, you kind of reiterate. You say, so, like, again, if you have a vacation rental here in the Smokies, click the link below, blah, 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 so that you kind of do the two-factor authentication in the ads itself so you don't pay for clicks of people who don't fit your target market. And then in the landing page, you want to have a pre-header that says, for Airbnb owners or short-term rental owners, typically Airbnb because that performs better, for Airbnb owners in the Smoky Mountains or cabin owners in the Smoky Mountains. And you can even say only for, so nobody else should be allowed here. And then that increases performance as well. So that way, and then if you're spending enough to where the events going back to Facebook are regular, Facebook will learn very quickly who your target is and who it isn't, even when you're not doing any targeting.
Interesting. Damn. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. I just remember his offer and I was like, man, why am I not running this same promotion deal? But like, I don't know. That's interesting. It's almost like it's almost like it's its own different thing. Like I don't think I could just pick this up and just spend money and just like get it dialed. Like I feel like I would be absolutely flushing all the money down the drain and it wouldn't go to the right people. So that's crazy. Like this is a whole science in itself.
Yeah, well, it is. It took me about 3 years of flushing money down the drain to figure it out. So it is tough because at the end of the day, if you don't know what you're doing, Mark Zuckerberg is just going to take your money and laugh at you and ask for you to do it again, right? And you have to be very careful. It's almost more so you have to know what not to do more than you have to know what to do. You have to know what settings not to have on. You need to know what type of copy is not going to work. You need to know what type of landing page is not going to attract people, what type of testimonials are not going to be interesting. And so there's that part as well. But like I said, it's really, if you nail your offer, if you know your customer, the silver BB is your offer, and then you can lose a lot of silver BBs. Or if you have an average offer, you need to have the knowledge that, like I like to say that I have, which is all the little tiny thousands of BBs, which is what type of headline will attract their attention, what type of call to actions are going to make them click, what type of form is going to make them actually fill out their information, what's going to attract them to actually book a call with you, because that takes effort, that takes time, what's going to make them do that for you. And so all of those little silver BBs play into it as well. So a lot of my clients have tried Facebook and then they come to me when when they can't quite figure it out. Yeah.
Or they just go around saying, "Oh, I tried that, it doesn't work."
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Matt, go for it.
No, you're good. I mean, I think this is I feel like every time we have a podcast, you consider booking a call with the person on the podcast to help your business. So I find it intriguing to me. I feel like Austin's real easy to sell. No, I'm just kidding. It's just funny because he's like every time we're talking to somebody and then Austin's like, okay, let me talk to the team about that actually, and we'll set up a call. You know what I mean?
I'm just big on finding out. I'm big on finding out the who, man. I'm not big on like, let me try and go down this rabbit hole and learn. I'm like, dude, no, I'm not doing any of that shit. Who's good at this? And like, I would rather just figure out how they can solve my problem for me. And I think it comes back down to like, you're going to lose money trying if you don't just go to the who first. And I'm not going to figure it out. And I'm not going to do it as good as you. And I'm not passionate about it. So I'm just going to be wasting my fucking time. Right. So like, I'm like,
well, and I'll tell you too, I mean, like, play this out. Most of the time, people try this for a few months. So they'll try it, they'll try and learn it themselves. And if they'll typically do $1,000 to $3,000, so let's say $2,000 on average. They'll do $2,000 a month and for 3 months. So they'll spend about $6,000 trying it themselves. So they'll spend $6,000 and 3 months to try and figure it out themselves, and it doesn't work. And then they usually spend a couple other months either mad or convinced it doesn't work, and they kind of shut that channel off. Versus you pay somebody, let's say you pay somebody $6,000 who has the information. They come in, they set it all up, they do it right. Well, you just did the exact same thing, but you saved 3 months, right? And so that's the key there It's the arbitrage. It's you have debt either way. Is the debt going to be you pay somebody to do it, or is the debt going to be you're going to spend out days on YouTube, figure it out, and do it in 3 to 6 months? And so that's full time. So that's the arbitrage you always have to consider. And if you have less cash flow, it might be more DIY. And if you have more cash flow, that's when you need to start collecting talent, because that's when time becomes more important.
Yeah, and I realize how you say, like, full transparency, your minimum is 50 listings and above, but it makes sense as to why you want to do it, because in order for this method to really work well, you need to have the spending budget to be able to make this work. So like a lot of people at the 25 listing range, unless each property is cranking out 150K, like, and you're making that much money per unit, which is rare, you likely don't have the ad spend to do this the right way, right? Too. So, which I mean, I don't even know if
Yep.
we do, to be transparent with you, but
Yep.
yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, totally. But you said, so remind me, you did say you're willing to spend $3,000 per owner?
Yeah, to acquire somebody. So like, let's just say maybe that would be my offer, right? Like, hey, if you're ever thought about switching, we'll throw
Yeah.
$3,000 into anything, like whatever, $3,000 sign on. Just say, I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
more depending. But I think that's the number
Yeah.
that's in my head as of today, right now.
Totally. Well, I'll tell you what, people are getting a lot better with that with ads right now. So there's definitely some opportunity there for you, I'd think, to pursue. But yeah, that's always the age old question, is like, do you pay the cash now to figure it out, or what size do you need to be to get there? So yeah, I talk with property managers all day and help them figure that out. So anyways, yeah.
Yeah, but for you too, like, like, you seem like you're doing the right thing, right? Like in anything in life, like, be of value to that guy that's at 17 listings. Give him free game and say, hey, look, for right now, I can't work with you. Just figure these three little things out. Once you get to 50 listings, let's have another call, and then we can really do something, right? So it completely makes sense as to why you got to set that bar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it always sucks too, because I want to just help everybody. But sometimes the best way to help everybody is to be very careful about who you help until the point that you can help everybody. So, and that's another thing too. I've been talking, I have a lot of agency friends and business partners, or not partners, business friends who they own their own companies. And what I see is that the quality of the company directly correlates with the quality of the clients. And so the better your clients are, the better the company is going in everything. And so especially for vacation rental management companies, the better, the nicer the properties, the more luxury, the more revenue coming in, the more hands off the owners, the better the company almost always. Now you have to always start somewhere. You can't just start with the biggest properties. You have to work your way up. But the quality of your clients is the quality of your company every time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to touch on that referral thing, Austin. I thought about it earlier when you were saying the referral thing. I think the referral thing is fantastic, right? You're offering, say you're offering $3,000 a client, but what you're going to get that back, let's just say within 3 months per se, whatever the case may be. And maybe that guy who has 17 properties, right, who's trying to get to that level where Sam can take him, maybe he can't offer as much as you. Maybe he can offer 1,500, but also, if you think about it in a different way, you could also, if you don't have the money up front, you could always offer it in the form of a service credit, right? Or something like that to keep them with you as well. So there's other solutions than just having the money up front when it comes to like referrals. So I did want to touch on that. Because I think not everybody just has cash to throw around, right? But if I say, like, even if I said, oh, we'll give you $3,000 toward commissionable credit, like commissionable credit or whatever the case may be, that's still going to excite people, right? Because it's like, they're going to make more money. So they're still getting the $3,000, right? And you might essentially be working for free. But once you get that client, if you sign that client, you obviously don't pay unless you sign the client. But if you sign that client, right? And other things to do is, like, I guess if you're giving away things like you were saying, like, oh, we can, if you're giving somebody, like, say, I'm gonna give you a hot tub if you sign up with us, right? Then in that case, you might want to have conditions. You might want to have 2-year contracts, right? Or something like that. So that way the lifetime value is longer. It's guaranteed. You're going to get return on investment for that item or things like that. So that's would just be my suggestion. But yeah. So Sam, are you strictly just doing meta ads? Have you tried to move to LinkedIn ads? And the reason I asked Jack the same thing, because I feel like meta ads are great, right? Because they know how to target, they figure people out. Once you figure it out, it's not as hard. But I feel like LinkedIn, there's probably way more owners on LinkedIn. I feel, at least that's what I feel, right? So I'm not, I mean, I'm just wondering if you've ever worked with LinkedIn ads.
I have not. I'm sure. So here's the litmus for that. Like I said, everything works. The question is, what is the cost of getting it to work? And so LinkedIn ads are much different than Facebook ads, much different, both in the targeting and in the creative. And so you have to have that knowledge base as well. And so I would not, being in my space, I would never do it myself. I would hire the best person I know for LinkedIn, because the amount of money I would save and the amount of time I would save spending, like, trying to figure it out myself for years, maybe months, but like, 6 to 12 months, trying and failing and spending my own money doing so, it would just be too much. And so I would, like, again, it's what are you willing to do? And there's so many things. The thing with AI and ads and stuff is there's always more. Like, you can do Reddit ads, you can do Google ads, you can do Pinterest ads, you can do LinkedIn ads, you can do Facebook ads. So the question is, what is the bet? The reason I chose Facebook is because it has the largest targetable audience. So more owners are on Facebook than any other platform, period. Like, full stop. Absolutely. That is like a fact. Facebook and Instagram combined, there's more owners there. And I know the game. And so it's like, just get better at the game. Don't learn a new game. Double down on what you know. And so to anybody who's listening, if you're amazing at Google ads and you're crushing it, dude, double down, figure out more ways to win. If you're crushing on LinkedIn, double down. Until you reach, unless you got to a point where you're at a business size where you can hire it out and you can figure out new platforms, just double down on what works. And so that's why I would say LinkedIn works. If you've got a guy who knows LinkedIn, go for it, but make sure you got a guy in your corner who knows LinkedIn.
That's solid. That's solid advice, though. If you're good at one thing, just stick with that one thing and double down on that. So, how did you learn how to do meta ads? Did you just throw your money away, or did you hire someone to teach you? Let's get more into how you learned how to do all this.
Yeah. So mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I brushed over it really, really quickly. So I was working at Intellihost, which is a listing optimization site. So they help you optimize your listings on Airbnb. And so I first started breaking my chops with Facebook ads there. Helped the founder do some webinar funnels, and we helped grow that SaaS, started there. And then we offered Revenue IQ, which was a revenue management service through Intellihost. And that required, if you're going to do revenue management, most of the time, unless you have really low prices, you're going to have to talk with the salesperson, or you're going to have to talk with the owner, because the owners want to know who's going to be managing the revenue. It's a very personal thing. And so they want to talk with somebody. So you got to have a sales team. And then, so, okay, you've got a sales team, but are they generating their own calls? Okay, well, that's different. Now you have to have people who are cold calling, reaching out. And so what we decided is whatever we could do to fill their time with just closing, that's going to be the best use of our salespeople. And so that's when, for about 3 years or 2.5 years for Revenue IQ, again, we started at zero, but we got our first salesperson. I started figuring out the whole book a call system. We tried a bunch of different funnel types that didn't work. We tried a bunch of things that didn't work. But eventually, over those 3 years, we really nailed our system until where we were able to fully employ seven salespeople that were just closing. So like full-time 7 people that were just taking the calls that our marketing was generating, and they were just closing full-time. So that's where I really learned my chops. Was basically, it wasn't my money, fortunately. I was working for Intellihost, but using their money and just smashing the road, figuring what works. And then once we found what worked, doubled down and created a system behind it.
That's awesome. So what's next? What's next for you? Like, where do you plan to take DoorScale?
Yeah, so my dream is obviously to help as many people as possible. That would be great. Right now, though, I've seen the pitfalls of raising capital. I've seen the pitfalls on taking on debt for growth. So both raising capital and taking on debt for growth. I've seen that, as well as taking on partners. So I've decided to take a little bit of the harder road, which is I don't want any partners. I want it to be me primarily. I've hired people, but I'm the only owner. I don't want to take on funding, and I don't want to take on debt. So I am doing everything in my power to bootstrap me to a place where I am comfortable, because and that has its own weaknesses too, 100%. But because I've been doing marketing for so many small companies and scaling so many from 0 to 7 figures, I've been able to do it for other people. So I feel like I should be able to do it for myself. So right now I don't have crazy goals. I hope to be at the 7 figures by the end of this year. But other than that, it's really just, I want to have a sustainable business where my clients absolutely take over the territories. I call it the territory takeover, where I fly out and I do the 48 hours of filming. But I am just so laser focused on making my clients unreasonably advantaged over everybody else in the market. Like, for example, Haven, like their offers so unreasonably advantaged over anybody else. You present that to anybody in that market, and it sticks in your brain, and it's hard to get out. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Is I just really want my clients over this next year to just be the unfair competitors that everybody complains about.
Yeah. So how many people are on your? Oh, no, you could go for it. Keep going.
I was just gonna say, not complain. Maybe complain's a bad word. I don't want anybody complaining. But property managers that everybody's looking at.
So how many people are on your team? Is it just you?
Me, I just hired another. I have a contact who is a really, really good copywriter and funnel builder. She's amazing. She's awesome. So I hired her, and then we have a team of video editors as well, because we shoot hundreds of ads per client. So you can probably imagine how much editing that requires, because we'll typically do 2 or 3 flyouts per month to new clients, and so that's in the 500s to 700 pieces of content that need to be edited. So yeah, so it's pretty much me, another copywriter. My wife helps with some admin stuff. My wife's amazing; she's brilliant, and then my funnel builder, she's really good as well.
Yeah, so when for like Jack's case, for example, you said he's a very smart guy. He came up with all these offers. Do you kind of help like with that too? I mean, obviously it's up to the vacation rental manager at the end of the day, but you're like, hey, like over here in this market, we did this and this offer really works. Because to me, I would be like, man, I've heard so many different ones. Like maybe I should just make my own, or like, are you kind of provide that consultation of like, hey, I would try and maybe do this way.
Definitely. So because that's the most important part of it, that
Right.
about, I would say 80% of our onboarding is focused on creating a brilliant offer. And the offer varies wildly from market to market. Like in a place like, let's say Emerald Coast, Panama City Beach, it's very competitive there. There's a lot of big players, a lot of big corporate players like Vacasa there, who are big players in the space. And so the focus there for owners is very different. And a lot of them are coming from those bigger players. And so the offer has to really pertain to those pain points. Versus if you're like in Montana, you're a property owner in Montana, or you're a Boise property manager, dude, the pain points are completely different. There might be a lot more self-managers you need to be looking at. And the offer for people who are self-managing is way different from someone who's coming from a property manager and they had a bad experience. And so you have to take those into account and craft something right for your market. And that's why it typically hits. And I know a lot of people are talking about Haven's offer, but the people who are really interested are the homeowners or the property owners in his area, because that's like his offer is very interesting. But if you have the pain points that he mentions in the offer, it rings really true. And so that's what I'm trying to do with every single market. And it takes time. It's hard. It really is hard, but it's worth it.
No, I don't think you could have answered that any better, because the answer to your question is basically it's market specific, and we need to look at what exists there and what works there, and how do we kind of find the marriage. And the offer is not what works for Jack isn't going to work for Austin per se, because 2 different markets, 2 different animals. So I think that makes a lot of sense, because it's not an apples to apples comparison where I'm like, man, we should run his offer. It's like, no, that's his play. Like there's probably something maybe that you could take from his offer or something, but maybe it makes more sense in your market. So
Yep.
yeah, I love that.
Yep, 100%. And I'll give you an example, maybe one more kind of visceral example. In the Emerald Coast, it's really hard to find good cleaners. Good cleaners are 1 in a million. Good contractors are 1 in a million. That's like one of the biggest qualms. People have amazing properties, but because they're often not cleaned well, they get terrible review scores, and owners are sick of it. And so the offer is really focused around cleaning. It's really focused around, hey, if now I'm not going to give too many secrets away for my clients, but if your first 10 cleans aren't 5 stars, we will do XYZ to make it up to you. Like, that's how confident we are in our cleaning team. Versus in a place like the Smokies, it's switching because there's so many property managers and people know about all of them. The question is, what is the risk if I go with you? Am I locked in for the next year and a half? And so that's the main thing, is everybody's switching. What is the low risk option? It's not necessarily who cleans the best, because there's a lot of great cleaners in the Smokies. And so that's an example right there that is immediately obvious.
Yeah. That's wild. Well, Sam, tell everybody how they can find you, how they can get in contact with you. I appreciate you getting on. You have there's so much game in your head that we can't even unlock because there's so many trade secrets that nobody could know about.
And even if they did,
they wouldn't use it.
Yeah, they'd be like, here's the secret sauce, go use it. And I'm just gonna be like, dude, I can't cook that fucking recipe like Sam can cook it. Like, I'm not doing it. Sam can make the sauce.
Well, I appreciate that. That's too kind. I appreciate you guys. Well, you can find me at I've got a website. It's https door-scale.com. Doorscale.com was taken by another company, and it's terrible. So if you go to doorscale.com, you'll probably think I'm terrible at websites. I'm not. So go door-scale.com, and then you can also find me on LinkedIn. Samuel Hirst, LinkedIn as well. But I appreciate it. It was really fun talking with you guys. This has been great.
Dude, I had that same problem as you with my business website too. Somebody had my business website, and it's just like a generic, hospitable, like direct booking site. And I'm like, fuck. And I DM'd them and I was like, hey, can I buy your domain from you? And they were like, I'm sorry, this house not taking reservations this time. And I'm like, that's not what I asked you. Like, are you willing to sell your domain? Like, can I buy it from you? I just keep searching it up, and I'm just waiting for like the day they don't pay, and then I'm just gonna like go on the computer, because eventually they're not going to use it forever. Eventually they're going to sell their house. It's only like 1 cabin or 2 cabins or something. Like, it's nothing. Eventually they're going to sell it. So I just check it every month or so and look, and I'm like, eventually I'll steal this domain, and then I'll just make an auto direct or something. But
I should do that. That's a good idea. I should try and buy it off them.
Yeah, keep checking. Yeah, because my company's name is Hooray Stays, like something memorable, but I have to put a dash in it because somebody has it. So if you listen to this podcast, and because I know you have property, and this is a short-term rental podcast, sell me your domain. We can rename your house. I'll help you. I promise. Anyway, Sam, dude, thanks so much. I think you're going to blow a lot of people's minds, especially the ones that are like into this kind of stuff, and learning how to make offers and creating leads and things like that. So I really appreciate it. This is as good as we're going to get to Alex Hormozy right now, Austin. So no, but thanks, Sam, dude. I really appreciate it. Austin.
All right.
End at episode 92.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening. Peace.